Bro, have I been muted the full time?
I think so. I thought you were waiting for us to join.
Dude, that's like 10 minutes.
Oh. I did the other day myself as well. My stream dropped, so I muted my mic, and then I continued when the internet came back. I played through the rest of the game with being muted on stream. Everyone can hear my teammates talking, and then the next game I played, continuing with that, and someone was like, "Oh, I thought Pano was just being rude to his flank the whole game." Because I didn't say anything back to him.
Well, nobody
Technically.
important was in chat anyway.
Yeah.
Oh wow.
We just have UK and
Oh wow.
and Denmark. Maybe if there was a conversation about Monk macro and all that, it could have been interesting. But...
Of course. I've been talking for like 10 minutes, man. This is a shambles.
Pro streamer.
Oh my god, man. Imagine you guys weren't here.
Mm-hmm.
I would have been gone. That's like probably an hour.
But
I know
to be fair,
JBR's done that before.
It's only when I joined the chat and you were talking that I realized that you're muted on your stream.
Yeah, oh god.
I thought it was intentional at first. Because the music and all that.
Just literally been talking to Salad and answering people. Bloody hell. Well, we're all good now. And we got
so
lots to talk about, gents.
Yeah, how do you want to do this? Do you have okay, those are the same talking points that I had made earlier.
Yeah, so the talking points pretty much relate to the group stage, and then we can kind of like touch on the round of 16.
Yeah,
I was maybe gonna do like a bracket between the three of us, and then try and like compromise on some results. But I think you both have brackets like already pre-prepared as well. But we'll kind of like we'll take it by we'll see what happens in terms of what we want to do. I think a compromise bracket could be quite fun.
Yeah, sure. Yeah, that sounds good to me.
My dodgy paint skills. I meant to. Oh, I need to. Do I have my predictions as well? Oh, I do have my predictions. Yeah, we're good. We're good.
I have made some predictions too. I think I haven't updated
I never
mine.
made predictions.
I'm talking the group stage predictions.
Boo,
I think
Boo and I we made predictions on the Discord.
I just put out on them. Mostly, I would say it's what I expected. Like when we talked last time.
So maybe
Mostly.
Maybe we'll just look at the predictions that I done to start us off. And essentially, I've got A, B, C, D here on screen. This is what I thought the group would be, and then the actual results are down the bottom. So if I've not got the team right, I probably have the points right, or very close to it.
You had Norway both ahead of the UK, same as me, and we were both totally wrong.
Me as well.
But I have 8 points there and 4 sorry, it's 8 and 5 I predicted, and it's 7 and 4. It's actually I was kind of on the right track. I've like identified like the key game is probably going to be UK Norway. It's just happened to be that UK won that 1-3-0 versus me saying Norway going to win 2-1.
Well, you had Norway on a pretty high, like you had the Norway stock pretty high because you gave them a game against Finland, which I think was a bold prediction.
You gotta go out with some, right? But if they were gonna take 2 games off of France, I was like, I'm willing to go out on a win for them.
I also thought it was gonna go better, and then.
And Denmark took a game from the UK. Also, that was a pretty nice Arabia game.
The Arabia game was actually really nice. Yeah, they played well in that game.
Yeah. I'm really impressed by your prediction in Group D. I think like you had predicted almost like a 3-way tie. You had given the 0-3 to Australia against.
You gave the Aussies no
Sweden.
Yeah. I was close, right?
But you had predicted kind of like the cycle, but you had the teams wrong. You had said Spain, Sweden, and Russia.
Yeah.
Kind of cycling, and it was Sweden, Russia, and Australia. But that group was wild.
Dude, I was not gonna predict the freeway tie because that's the kind of shit you manifest, and like that's the kind of shit you don't want to be manifesting if you're like organizing a tournament. It's like, nah.
Something I found.
Yeah, go ahead, Panda.
I found something funny in the like when I was like playing around with the stats for that. The last game Australia played, the Arabia one against Russia, they had statistically the worst performing pocket serves on that they played in their must-win game on Arabia so far.
Huh.
Like in Gold League, at least.
How do you measure?
I would just look like how many times that pocket. I know it's very like there's not enough data for that, but they played Huns and Magyars, and as pocket on Arabia, both have a really, really low win percent. I know it's very not really, can I say, good
Okay, so
statistics.
you mean they played poorly performing civs?
Yes,
but
basically.
pocket
So
didn't
far.
really. Okay, so you were mostly thinking about in terms of civs instead of in terms of
Yeah,
players.
like I mean, I know it can be. Yeah, it was Huns have won 7 out of 18 times.
Yeah.
Pocket on Arabia, and Magyars 8 out of 22, and they had both of them. Which
Yeah.
I just found it as a interesting point when I was looking at it. And I know like it's not enough data or anything, but
yeah,
it's hard to like look at one map in isolation when the draft is part of like 3 or 5 different games, right?
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah,
as much as like that very cool, that interesting thing that stood out when I was going through it.
To me, they're both kind of low though. Like Huns have been dropping quite a bit in drafts, and then like Magyars was generally pretty high though. So to me, that's a little bit more surprising. Like they're way below 50%.
The camel serves, man. It's the camel serves.
Yeah, it's true. It's true. Camels are dominating from pocket.
Actually, I think Franks is dominating from pocket. This all the Arabia games I've seen, and we've seen that in I would think it was Russia against Sweden, where Repard completely carried with Franks, and we've seen that with Ming like at least twice.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think Franks is, and maybe we've seen like a shift kind of like playing like I think the way Russia played it, like they had Vinch play very defensively, just like not really even leaving his base in feudal, while and then also Repard making like really little army in Castle Edge. So
he played the greed. Ming did the same.
At
least the one game I watched, it's the same, like played the greed and then just use that power spike you get from early in. Which maybe that's the way to play.
Group A, I had Poland as well.
Yeah, I think
but that was a close one for sure.
It was a close one, right? It was basically like I essentially had the points right there. Even had Argentina right with 10. Like, so I was pretty close in terms of getting that right. Obviously, Mexico B got punted out for reasons we all know, but China B certainly ended up playing quite well.
Yeah, I always thought that they could be dangerous, and also I think what we had, like the thought that we had about China B, and I think Shed had said that as well, is that they're super good on Arabia, but they only play Arabia Nomad, and they got to play Arabia in both their sets, and they won Arabia both times. So, like, yeah, it's maybe a bit lack of preparation or maybe overconfidence of Argentina and Poland to let China have Arabia as a possible map. I don't know, but yeah, a good performance there for sure. And Poland's probably gonna be a strong contender in Silver League. Well, depending on whether Balls plays.
I expect them to play, but Rage Forest is going on just now, so maybe not as much. But even without Barrels, it's still a very, very strong team for Silver League, in all honesty.
Yeah, for sure.
Especially like pick first and best of 5, they can probably just go Arena, Black Forest, and like dominate in those 2 maps. I don't really see anybody beating them on Arena, BF. in Silver League?
Oh, like yeah, you have Czech Republic in Silver League. I think they can beat them on Arena. BF probably like a lock for them.
Maybe.
Oh, there's Norway though, so
That is true.
potentially
That is true. But we're all full of
potentially
copium
a
in
strong
Norway.
BF team as well.
Yeah,
Yeah.
potentially.
I mean, they only got to play BF against Finland, which is probably the strongest BF team in the world. So
Yeah, it's always been a bit of a fallback for them. We only seen BF 4 times out of 135 games in the group stage. 4. If I remember correctly,
low.
it's very, very low. It's one of the lowest picked maps, but I think it was mainly due to the fact it was one of the highest. Had the highest bans. It was barely ever allowed to get played, or even the chance was never really offered for teams to play it.
yeah. Well, it doesn't
It's also
surprise
smart,
me.
right? Like just
Yeah.
bad, especially like Norway. It's a comfort pick almost for them. You take it away.
Yeah, I mean for
Right.
Norway, it definitely makes sense because like it minimizes the impact of their like lower players, and NVIDIA and Viper are both like obviously super good on BF. Well, they're super good on every map, but I think yeah, for Norway it made sense to pick BF. Obviously Finland is so good that there was no chance they were gonna win this, but it's interesting that it hasn't been played by other teams in other groups. I'm assuming it's probably because these other teams they feel more comfortable playing other maps. Like I don't see China A, Vietnam A, like these teams, even like Mexico, Chile, Taiwan, Germany. I don't see those teams pick like Forest. Maybe Germany, but not Brazil, for example. So it doesn't surprise me that it wasn't played all that much.
Yeah, I think you're generally trying to stop teams getting in their comfort zone, like you said.
Yeah.
Which makes sense. And Black Forest for a lot of teams is not a comfort zone. So that's
exactly.
That's very polarizing, isn't it? So you don't really want to give a map like that up.
Yeah.
Especially in a playoff 3. Group C, Tarsiz.
Group C.
I think we all had some serious copium in this one, but
yeah.
France.
I did, and it ended well for me.
So my prediction was France won first, Canada second, Italy third, France fourth. So obviously Canada. It was the first match of that group too. France A against Canada A. We had no idea how Canada would do ahead of that set, and they played just amazing. I think that was a very impressive performance. Probably biased a bit, but I think like my prediction was less so like I was convinced about the strength of France, but more that I was doubting how well Canada would function as a team, since like they're all superb 1v1 play, and team game players as well, but like they haven't played together in like years. I was not expecting them to practice at all. Like like Hera wasn't gonna sign up initially, and then on the day of the match, they all showed up. They all chill, and they played amazing. It was
they've
just
kind
very
of created
impressive.
a meta pick on migration as well from
With the Chinese, yeah.
Yeah, everyone's been copying them since then.
Yeah, it's kind of crazy with the Chinese.
And I still need to go back to watch that VOD, but I do remember before the game they were talking about using Britons on migration, and somehow they went away from it.
I said the same thing to Locke, just to spitball it.
They actually did practice.
I mean, it's probably not like a dumb pick, because like they would age up faster with their sheep, and Britons have a full water tech tree, I think.
Their water tech tree is really good. And
they have strong economy, cheaper
well.
TCs. Yeah. I don't think it's a dumb pick at all.
Yeah. And if you think it's such a cramped map as well,
yeah,
and then you have longbows and werewolf trips, like good luck.
Yeah, for sure. It's a pretty good pick.
Yeah.
I
think Hera rates the Britons pretty highly on water maps. Like I remember during Hidden Cup, he would always pick them on Cup.
Golden Swamp, they've always been a go-to as well because of the amount of water buffaloes.
Yeah.
You'd have to like have a map draft with no Arabia, and then like probably no other land maps, and then if you could like get them towards the end, if you had like no other water civs, I can see them being competitive in like migration for sure.
Yeah. I can see that being an option. Yeah, other than that, I think Group C, I think the rest was pretty much expected. Maybe we were hoping for a closer set between France A and Italy.
Yeah.
But it was pretty one-sided. I think the migration game was pretty good. Italy looked like they had won the water, but France, I think, learned from disaster against Canada and prioritized land a bit more, and it worked out for them. But then Arena was a bit of a letdown, and their third game was also not.
Yeah. The Arena game for sure was very, very odd. I'm still trying to work that one out. I think a general comment for me about this group, I'm really surprised France tried to schedule with Canada first here. To me, that's a bit of a head scratcher. I didn't really understand that.
Yeah, I guess that's true because like I think you kind of want to finish first of the group so you get like a quote easier round in the round of 16. But like, for example, China has finished second of the group, so you can always get them if you finish first of your group. So it's never a given that you're gonna get like an easier team, and also you have the double elimination, so you're a bit safer even if you drop like your first match.
Yeah.
But I don't know if like you can like also and 44s are not like always easy to schedule, and especially since Hera had to go to NAC. I think they probably didn't really strategize that, and they were available. Canada were available, and they said, "Okay, let's just play." You know,
it could also be a lot
strategy behind that.
Like maybe they were hoping maybe Canada wouldn't be like prepared and that, and they can catch them out before they like get momentum going. Could also be a thinking.
I don't think they were expecting Canada to be that strong. I don't know if any team was expecting Canada to be that strong before, because like we had no idea how they would do, and I don't know if anyone really had an idea of how they would do.
I'm also still not too sure how strong they are.
Yeah,
that's the worst of it. I'm still
they
not
haven't
too sure.
Peaked yet.
I do think they are very strong, but maybe this is me being biased.
I'm gonna be very biased. Canada's gonna win Nations Cup.
No.
I mean, you know why? I like Slav. He's my hero, so have to cheer for them. That's.
Well, we can talk about that later when we do playoff predictions.
Oh god! If you go into like Reddit, Twitter at the moment, everyone's going like Canada daft. So like, there's actually a lot of expectation with Canada now because everyone's like, oh yeah, Canada like underdogs, Canada are gonna win. There's like a lot of people being very vocal about it. So if like I know Hera's like streaming his game so far, if he's like streaming more, like there's gonna be a lot of people in his chat like putting some expectation on him.
Yeah. Well, Canada to me is the standout performer of the group stage. I was not expecting them to be that good. They have looked almost flawless in all their games. So yeah, and it seems to work. Like the team seems to have like really good chemistry. They're always calm on voice chat. Like maybe they would be lacking some preparation and draft and all that, but I don't think it matters as much as some people make it sound. So I think they can go very far. It's gonna be interesting to see, like, first the match against UK is like kind of the opposite. Like they have less individual skills, but they are a super well practiced team, and like lots of they play a lot together, but also against the other titans like China or Finland, obviously. but that won't happen until like at least semifinals or finals.
Mm-hmm.
They have a pretty open bracket, like the UK first, and then winner of Chile and Austria. Which, well, like let's say they face Chile. Chile is a bit of a team like the UK guys that have played together a lot. No superstar in that group or in that team, but
Yeah, I'm trying to think of my standout performers. Let's take a look at my predictions from the other side. So we just
yeah.
done A, B, C, and D lock. You haven't missed too much. I, I think I know who mine is now from a look at it, but let's just take a look at Group E. So Vietnam A topping that one, with China ended up coming in second. I predicted the Czech Republic would take a game against every team. I wasn't too far off. And you know what? They actually could have beat Vietnam A. Vietnam A honestly looked very shaky against Vietnam B. Could have missed that. It could have actually lost that set. They were down 1-0, and then Czech Republic A could have easily beat them as well, but they just clawed them. They just clawed themselves back into the series and ended up winning both of them.
I think that's a good sign for a team if you're capable of snatching a victory from, well, both the good and the bad side, I guess. But being able to come back from a pretty bad position is a good sign. Oh, okay. Czech Republic lost arena against Vietnam. Actually won migration. That's pretty good.
And like they were super close to winning. Like they should have won Team Acropolis against Vietnam. It's like they had like a massive army lead and just couldn't seem to get like sufficient damage done.
Yeah.
And that's like a really good map to force, I think, for Czech Republic versus Vietnam. Like those three maps that they got were good.
I would never back Czech Republic on Team Acropolis against Vietnam, especially.
I mean, you wouldn't know.
No, but especially how Vietnam played against China on Team Acropolis. You know, like they seem really strong. Well, we know all the drama that resulted from that game, but even though, like, I don't think the drama played any part in how that game played out, and it was very impressive how Vietnam played that map the first time. So, like, I can't really imagine that replacing Song Song with Fish would impact them that much, but maybe it has. I don't know.
To me, I think it has, from what I've saw and the other ones. But like you said, it's maybe a good sign that teams are able to finish off games when being down. That's not an easy thing to do, right?
Yeah.
Because last I saw, I think Fish was like 24-80 on the ladder or something like that. But maybe he doesn't play team games that much with them.
Yeah, from my conversation with Bad Boy, I think he's played a decent amount. But I think he's quite busy.
Okay.
With life in general. So I don't know how much he is like playing and actively training, you know. But yeah, I mean, them finishing first is great for them. They obviously had the head-to-head over China, and that's why they are top, even though China have a +5 game difference and Vietnam only have 3. But that's the power of head-to-head.
Yeah.
I think you can make an argument that game difference is more important over the multiple. It's just, I think head-to-head and such a small round robin is probably more important.
Yeah, I think if two teams are tied, the head-to-head is the fairest way of breaking the tie.
Yeah, I think so. Group F, we have Chile, Mexico, Taiwan, and Brazil B. Certainly a very, very tough group for everyone involved.
Yeah.
I'm quite proud. Dave said he expected Brazil B to do well here. I was like, there's no way. They'll take a game off
Bloodless
someone.
said the same.
I was like, what? What? What are you guys been smoking, man? There's no way. I said Brazil B are going to take one game, and I got it right.
That did take one game against Mexico.
It was Mexico, and honestly, they could have won that series against Mexico, and Mexico had to win that. So, again, it was kind of like a situation where a team had, like, they were down and they had to win, and they ended up dead winning. So I think kudos to them. And Mexico ended up winning that and ended up going through over Taiwan, who go out on 6 points. And I don't think, is there anyone else with 6 points and dropping down to silver? Poland, but that's I guess the Group D as well, because they had 7 points.
Yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, 6 points is generally a good score, and unfortunate to be dropping into Silver League.
Yeah, that was again a crazy group with those three teams: Chile, Mexico, Taiwan. Really close. Like Chile won 2-1 against both Taiwan and Mexico, but it was like they could, like Chile for example, I watched their set against Mexico. They could have lost 2-1. The migration game, they pulled victory from the jaws of defeat. Really, it was very close. So yeah, I think we had identified that group as potentially the closest. Like again with Group D, and I think it was pretty much that. Like very tight set between Taiwan and Mexico. Um, Unfortunate
Didn't
that
that
one of
one have
these
a bit
teams
of a
had to drop,
drama?
but yeah, there was a bit of drama
Uh,
that set. Essentially, Taiwan had an advantage in Team Island. It was not like a game deciding advantage, but Taiwan had a clear advantage, and Kingston dropped, and they were not able to restore. So they replayed the game, and this time Mexico won. So, and in the end, they won the series 2-1.
Yeah. Not ideal by any means.
Not ideal.
Not ideal.
yeah, definitely.
It's a tough one.
Yeah, it's very hard to call because yeah, Taiwan had an advantage, but it was not finished by any means. So
I think
difficult to say.
I think the biggest issue for me is it's clear when someone has an advantage, yes. How how can I re-implement that advantage back into another game? And I feel
Yeah,
like that's, to me, that's the hardest. That's what I've got to figure out.
mhm.
And I think there's a lot of nuance to it in terms of like how you've selected teams in the draft and how much you prioritize this map and different things. And
Yeah,
it's probably very difficult for something for you to just decide on the fly and be 100% correct, like 100% confident that that is the correct decision. I don't know. It's a weird
yeah.
one.
I don't know if there's like any like I don't know if you guys could have come up with a better decision. Like I think there's it's very difficult to make a ruling for that.
And then everyone is happy. It's
Yeah, I don't think anyone is ever gonna be happy. You know, it's like very difficult to say.
Yeah, it's not easy to do. It's not easy for sure. I think if I was gonna change anything, I'd maybe have liked to delay it a little bit longer. But then you're like how long do you give do you give us like a day to come up with a result, and that gives more teams to prepare or change things? Like it's kind of weird. I don't know.
Yeah,
I'm not like terribly upset with how it was handled. I think it was played pretty soon afterwards. It's equal conditions in a sense. Like, okay, both teams kind of know what you're gonna do now.
yeah,
But you both have opportunities to change what you're gonna do as well. And actually,
yeah,
Mexico did change their approach in the
yeah,
second game. And like Taiwan also had the opportunity to do that. It's kind of like a sticker twist situation.
yeah, yeah. I think Mexico was better at adapting than that Taiwan did. Probably is why they won the game eventually. Uh, like the only thing I can think of in terms of like fairness and all that is because of time zones. It means that it gets even later in Taiwan.
Yeah.
But like the teams could have maybe decided to play another day. Like I don't know. I don't know if in those cases at least like okay, like can we agree to play again the next day? Maybe it gives you like a chance also to like calm down after this happens. I don't know. They decided to continue playing right away. I think you guys had given them the decision, like the possibility of playing the other maps first, as well.
Yeah.
But I decided to replay the map straight away, and yeah,
I think like if you just like give it like I would give admins a little bit more time to like just be sure of their decision and talk to
yeah,
people, and it would also just give you some time to like decompress away from that game and maybe have a like
mhm,
little internal reflection and think about it a little
yeah.
bit more. You know,
it does make a difference.
I think so.
I
I
had
think
it
so as
this
well.
weekend as well in one of our games where I was bit on a bit of a tilt streak, and then opponents drop, and then I had time to like calm myself down, and then we just talk like while we're waiting, we just talked through okay how we're gonna play out the rest of the game, and then it like everyone being calmed down, and just the game just flowed perfectly how we planned it out from there.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
But it definitely does help. Like just having that breather from that specific situation is good in my opinion as well. Having
But
gone
then,
through it,
like again, since it's like 2 very different time zones, like the more you wait,
yeah,
the later it goes, and if you have to reschedule, it's like 4v4, 2 very different time zones. So yeah, it's tricky for sure. There's no like ideal solution, I think there.
I think the ideal thing for me is there was a good save and exit option in game that always worked, or worked way more than it currently does. Because it just seems to me that it just doesn't work. It's just not that reliable. In all honesty, the minute there's been quite a lot of teams that have had issues with save and restores and just plainly not working.
Yeah, it's not reliable because I think there's no warnings. Like I think when you were playing on Ruby, when someone dropped, the system was able to detect it, and they would prompt the save and exit screen for everyone.
and then you
you
voted
would not
on
have
that.
the option to watch the map, for example. That's what happened in China against Vietnam. So the lack of this feature is really critical. And there were some occasions where people would drop in Fubli and it was not code. It was not like 100% a fail-safe system, but it was working a lot better than this. I think here it relies on the teammates being able to detect that their partner has dropped from the call, so that they know that they need to save right now, because otherwise, because you can't restore if somebody has been dropped, because they would still be defeated and all that. So
yeah,
it's very tricky.
It's a bit BS. It's a bit BS.
It'd be nice if they had that back at least for lobby games at the minimum.
For ladder games, you don't really care, but for
because
lobby
people
games,
will abuse that on ladder when they are losing, they start just spamming save and exit. I know
I agree.
So I think that might have been the reason why they took it back then, but it should have stayed in for unranked games.
Yeah, I think for ladder games, you should not even have the option to save and exit. It's like if you need to go, you go. Like nobody cares about the turn points or whatever.
Yeah.
So
yeah, but it would be nice if we can have something like the back for that.
Agree.
Opens up a lot of questions about like competitive integrity and an honor system and not being able to like prove or disprove anything, which is just it's really it's no way to run a competition, really, is it?
And it also disincentivizes players like streaming their point of view. In a sense, because that means, if somebody can't see what you're doing, you can get away with some things that you shouldn't.
For sure.
And especially because it's like, it's kind of, it puts you in a bit of a not knowing what to do situation as well, I think. Because, I mean, it'd be nice, imagine if all the players were able to stream and, and they not be scared to get, not that they should be doing dodgy things, but you know what I mean. Like you're incentivized to not stream your point of view with these things because you can do it, and somebody will do it. There's always someone who will.
There's always someone, for sure. Probably more people out there we're not aware of as well. Okay, Star Spangled Banner is on. Let's move on to Group G then.
Yes.
I had Argentina B going through on 8 points in this one, actually. Germany had only on 11. I said they were going to drop a game to Argentina B. I'm not too sure what map I was expecting that to happen on. Never really... I mean, they look shaky in some games, but never really looked in full danger and went 3-0 everyone. The big surprise, though, was really India finishing third tier on 5 and USA being on 1, and that kind of flipped my prediction.
Yeah, I think I had the same order of teams, because USA was the second seed in that group, but I had Argentina ahead, but also I thought India would not win against the US, and definitely not 3-0.
No, I don't think anyone saw that coming. And then even they looked like decent in spells against Argentina B as well.
Mhm.
That was a
I
funny
mean,
thing.
they won. I think they won Arabia pretty convincingly.
Yeah, they actually looked pretty damn good on Arabia from what I saw. Even against Germany, they looked all right.
Yeah. So they'll be a good team in Silver League, I think. To be honest, they have because they play together a lot, and Dragon Star is a really good player. So
Of course, we'll see what USA can do. We'll see if 290 is gonna play. See if Bloodless is gonna
maybe he
play.
will.
I don't think Scotty's gonna play.
Yeah, Bloodless has played against India on Arena, but that wasn't enough. Playing the US national anthem behind this discussion.
That's how we segued onto the US. Just perfect. I've got the shuffle on the anthems. We've got Zimbabwe on next. Unfortunately, don't have a Zimbabwe team.
That group had one of the most interesting things happen. In the Germany against India set, was it? They played migration, and somehow Anatov had landed Janissaries onto flank.
I mean, Team Island.
No, it was on migration.
Because it says he had Koreans and migration and Turks on Team
Germany
Island.
Germany against India.
Okay.
Yeah, on migration, game 3, somehow Anatov landed Janissaries on the flank. The flank was, and he was making galleys. So I still have no idea how he got in there, or like he transported. It was so like it was just, for me it was like a.
Did he make docks on the other side of the main island or something?
No, I couldn't find anyone. I was watching because it was like we were sitting talking in voice chat, me, Pete, and Robo, and we were just like talking about the game. I was like, what the fuck's happening here? Why is there purple on reds on blues island or something like that? And then it looks like Janissaries, and then we were like just losing it because it was happening. It was so funny. And it's just 4 Janissaries, and they completely killed the flank on migration, and still have no idea how I got there.
Huh.
Nice.
Interesting.
It was glorious though to see it, but yeah, I should have gone back to see it, but there was something else that caught my attention after the game.
After the game?
Like, I can't remember, like, there was something else, 1 or 2, that took my, like, I forgot, like, I should go back to see how this happened. But yeah, that was a highlight for me, at least.
I think outside of Germany, it's kind of shown itself to be one of the weaker groups.
Yeah.
But like that, Argentina B will not be upset about that at all. Like they'll be quite happy to be going through in second place there. And
I think so.
I think India will be happy to finish third as well. You know, they had their moment of glory over the US, which they will be clinging on to for some amount of time, I'm sure.
Yeah, that was one of the first sets of that group as well. Maybe even the very first one, more than a month ago.
Yeah, it was.
Yeah,
the first one.
You know, it's so long ago, really is. Group H, probably another group that was probably one of the weaker ones on paper.
Yes. Yeah.
I remember doing the draw and saying, is Austria going to be able to make it through here without having any Leary, and pretty much got it spot on. Like the only
on my prediction, I had Turkey beat Austria, because also, I wasn't expecting Leary to play, and I was thinking that the Turkish team would maybe have more team game experience than Austria, but also like with the circumstances in Turkey and all that, maybe that probably impacted their preparation, and eventually, and it was also, I think, it was not the last match of Austria, but it was after the Brazil match, so they had some experience of the maps already. So I guess.
And on it, like Austria without Levy still aren't like they're all right. That's the thing, and that's why I like posed the questions initially. I was like, did they really need them here? And I was kind of like, I did like hum and haw a little bit, and I was like, do you know what? If they beat Turkey, they should be fine. As long as they beat them 2-1, they'll be all right.
Yeah.
And was it a 2-1 or was it a 3-0 in the end?
It was 2-1.
2-1.
It was 1-0, 1-1, and then 2-1. They won migration in the end. Lost Team Acropolis.
I think that's reasonable.
Yeah.
The Turkey players play a lot of like land maps, from what I know.
Yeah, I think they're
so
very good. They beat Locke's team, USAB, on Team Acropolis, which was like kind of a close game. But yeah, I think they're pretty good on those types of maps.
Yeah, and then for Brazil, it's kind of like, this is like a little bit back to Canada for me. Like, obviously they win every game 3-0, but I don't really know how good Brazil are.
Yeah.
Just because of just because of who they played more than anything else. For Canada, I'm still a little bit less like. So like the Group H is probably the teams that aren't as good.
Yeah,
but
that's
like,
exactly what I'm thinking.
Yeah, but Canada's group is probably the teams underperformed. So it's kind of like the outcome's the same, but the actual process is different.
Like if we look at the 4 teams who 3-0'd every team in their group, there's Finland, Canada, Germany, and Brazil. And I think out of those groups, Group B or probably had the strongest other teams. Like I mean UK and Norway. That maybe not. I think maybe Group C is actually higher with like France and Italy. So I'd say, but it's difficult to compare between groups, obviously.
Yeah, for sure. You can like draw similarities and whatnot, but the actual composition of teams is, of course, very different.
Yeah. So like, and also I think that the way those games happened is also can also be like a tell. Like I felt Canada was always in control of their games, while
Yeah.
Brazil looked shaky in some maps. At some point, you know, like against Austria, they were. I think Austria had a pretty good lead in Feudal Age, and then eventually Brazil pulled through with like some very solid plays in Castle and all that. And yeah, here and there, Brazil has looked more vulnerable, and I think a bit the same for Germany. I think for example, the Team Island game against the US was very close, could have been won by the US, but eventually Germany pulled through. So we'll have to see how it is. I think Finland has looked absolutely dominant in every single game.
Yeah, Finland.
Yeah, and Canada has looked pretty dominant as well.
Yeah. Actually, talking of that Team Islands game, it was the one where Daniel didn't add trade, right? And it just basically ran out of gold, and his land pressure stopped, if I remember correctly.
It could be I didn't catch up this one.
It's the Germany US.
The Germany one, yeah. I remember.
Yeah,
the Sicilians game from him.
Yeah, it was just spamming like Cav. Like imagine if you had +6. Was it that +6 Cavalier? It'd be such a. It's hitting so much harder. But yeah, they had a chance there to take a game on it, definitely.
For sure. Like that game for Germany looked a little bit shaky, and then.
But it was also their first game of the tournament.
Yeah, and even the Arabia game did look shaky in spells against India. Like India is super surprising on Arabia IMO. Okay, let's work our way through the talking points, will we?
Okay.
So teams have stood out as favourites given their performance in the group stage. So, I mean, we just kind of touched on Finland there. I think Finland are really the champions elect, aren't they? But they have all the pressure on them now. Like everyone expects Finland to win the tournament.
Pretty much, except for the couple of fanboys like me. But it's basically like it's from on paper and how they've played, it's probably Finland's tournament to lose, I think.
It's a lot of pressure though, isn't it? It's a lot of pressure. But if you look at positives, I guess like they have a solid four. They know who's going to play every single game, right? They probably know who's going to play in every position. That's probably not going to change too much either. It's probably going to be Valis and Rubenstock and flank. It's probably going to be Valis and the Max and pocket.
Yeah.
No, it's gonna change in Black Forest, I think.
What I've seen at least when they were playing, but
Yeah,
I know it's later than
Valis is
that.
gonna
And
play flank on Black Forest.
Max also played flank on their Black Forest games,
Oh,
from what
really?
I've seen. Yeah, and Velez as his pocket.
Hmm.
But that's a ladder
Well,
game, so you can't go
yeah,
much off that. But when they were queuing as that full stack, I know
Uh-huh.
Max and Velez swapped.
Max used to be Aztec flank in the old Nations Cup in BF. He would fast him monks. But you know, like I think Valis and Ruben stocks are
Just as
probably
good.
really really good at like
Yeah.
completely messing up with the opponents in the early game. So I think it's probably if you're Valis's enemy flank in BF, you know you're not gonna have a good time.
No, probably not. It's probably not going to be a lot of fun for you at all.
You know.
Is there like I don't think there's anyone else that's close to really being on
Oh, I
Finland's
have
level
another
just yet.
team. I have another team in that category. I have put Canada in that category as well. Because I feel like Canada. So, if we look at the teams and expectations before the competition and all that, I think people were expecting maybe China to be the team that would perhaps rival Finland.
Mm-hmm.
And I think after the groups, Canada's stock has risen and China's has decreased a little bit. China lost to Vietnam, which was unexpected, and Canada steamrolled their group. So I'd say I have Canada as my favorite to be second place now.
I think the reason, at least I said it in the Discord a couple weeks ago, I think things are good for Canada.
Yeah.
As a team is there's no tournament happening for the next month or so. Like if you think, I'm talking about big 1v1 tournaments, right? So
Yeah.
you have Hera, he can be fully focused on Nations Cup. The only other tournament that's taking away from the team is Rage Forest, and only Slam is playing.
Only
in
Slam
that.
is playing, yeah.
Yeah, so there's so much possibility for them as a team to practice and
Yeah.
focus on Nations Cup
Uh-huh.
for the
And Hera's
which
next biggest tournament is KOTD, so
yeah,
he already said that he's not gonna prepare all that much for that because it's just Arabia.
that's what he says.
Huh.
But,
I didn't hear him say that one. That's interesting because you obviously have people just grinding. There's going to be so many people just grinding Arabia for like the next month on ladder.
Actually, on Spec Dashboard, he reached the highest rating ever achieved a couple, like 30 or so minutes ago.
Yeah, but and I mean he's not gonna go out of his way to practice Arabia like outside the ladder, you know. Like what he says is he is gonna grind the ladder, play lots of Arabia, and practice the drafting behind closed doors. But it's not like you're gonna prepare secret strategies for Arabia.
No.
It's pretty much figured out, and yeah.
The thing is, as well, for KOTD practice, you can grind the ladder.
Yeah.
You can't grind the ladder for
Exactly.
Nations Cup practice.
Yeah.
You can do a little bit, but it's probably not going to get you that far.
And I think they will also get better at the drafting and that as well as the tournament progresses, because some of this stuff has been questionable so far, I think. But I mean, it's they skill wise, it just carries them even if they have a bit of a disadvantage. I think.
I think if I was going to pick a team, it'd be Germany. Even after saying I've been unimpressed with a couple of games, but I think Nelly has practiced a good bit. I kind of expect Nelly to come in. I think he'll play his role in some maps, and running can come out in some maps. Like he's had to play a lot. I don't know if like all of these maps are actually for like to running's taste.
He did say that today he doesn't know if he will play, but he's practicing with them.
Yeah. I
So
think it's a little bit more difficult coming into like the last 16 and trying to interrupt the squad that's done the work to get to that point, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's not easy to come in from like an outside perspective, and even from even from an internal perspective, you're maybe feeling a little bit hesitant to let someone in that's not actually been playing in the actual games. So that one's a little bit tricky.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Well, I could see him replace Philip on some maps. Like, I don't know, like Arabia.
the
Philip is
problem
playing
is, I
flank.
think
Does Philip play
I-
like? Cause Philip is like 2100. Nearly is a better player. He's not even 2100. He's like 2022.
my only if I like I don't know. I wanted to say something. I forgot. I saw Pete mentioning Jordan. Jordan is not going to play.
Yeah, Jordan is probably not going to play.
He, I'm pretty sure I heard him say on stream the other day. Yeah, he's not going to play. I think he even said playing Rage Forest is more important at the moment than practicing for Germany. I was like, it's just lobby games. Which don't quote me on that. I might be wrong, but I'm pretty sure that's what I heard him say. I was like, what? How? Can
I
you
think it's very unlikely. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I think Nili has a role to play. It's like I really liked his play on that. When they played Poland, Nili played Pocket on what was on BF, and I liked how he played it. I know his late game was a bit off. I think people saying like he made 2 SO and 3 halves was his army comp or something. But before that, everything like he played the situation perfectly. Oh, they kept the middle open, right? And he did really well with. Can't remember if he made scouts, but he did well with his knight follow up into that situation. I think he can, and even also if it goes, say, like let's say Germany makes the final, having someone like Nili, he is practicing with them. It means they can rotate the squad in a best of 7 set. That is
Yeah,
really
which
important.
is huge.
And then, like, if he comes there, he plays a game and they win, then he did his job. And that's the important thing, I would say.
I think I'd rather have him on water maps than running in pocket.
Could be.
I think I'd rather have him in like a migration team islands, but this is a very limited like sample size that I've seen of running, and a very limited sample size of what I've seen from Nelly. I just feel Nelly looks a little bit more comfortable there. It's hard to put the pressure on like someone having to perform every single game, and you have like if you like running should be like a really good ringer to bring in for like close maps, you know.
I think Running and Anatov have played every single game so far for Germany, and Philip has played 8 out of 9 in the group stage. They have been rotating Chaos to Win, Target, and Target as the last two.
Yeah.
I feel like Neely would be like, I don't know. I don't know enough about Philip's level and how much he has played with the other guys. I guess like during NAC, Neely couldn't practice at all with them, obviously.
No.
So probably that caps their potential. Interestingly, with the brackets, they're gonna run into Finland very quickly, which
provided they win.
Yeah, if they are as good as you think they are, I think it's good to face Finland so early, because then you drop into the loser bracket and you have your chance to claw your way back. Well, assuming they lose to Finland if in the first place.
I mean, if you say have a really good set against, like, say, a 3-2 result, then you know, okay, this is the best team, and we matched well against them. So you can go in confident through the whole losers bracket and prepare to set yourself again for potential rematch, maybe.
I think even on the flip side, if you get smashed by them 3-0, it shows you the level that you probably need to get to.
You need to be at.
So I think the general point is it's good to be facing them that early if you're a good team. I do think it's good, especially as double. Like there's so many different ways you can spin a positive out from it, for sure.
Exactly.
Anyone else? I don't really think there is. We kind of touched on Brazil. Honestly, I don't think there's anyone else really worth
Yeah.
worthwhile. Let's go on to 2. Which
Teams
is
that outperform expectations.
outperformed expectations in groups. And to be honest, the first one that really comes to mind for me is probably the Aussies.
Yeah, I had that one as well.
Let's go Aussies.
Yeah, I mean, it's really nice, like what they did. Finished joint first, beat Sweden in the first. Obviously, the tiebreaker didn't pan out for them, but I think they can be really proud of like their group stage performance.
It's just a shit way to go out, you know? They probably could have won like a couple more of
Against
their
Russia.
they could have won some more group stage games and they could have been home and dry. But you know, it didn't turn out like that, and then you go home in a tiebreaker.
I think the biggest one they'll kick themselves was Arabia against Russia in the original phase, when like they had such a good position, Dark was completely dead.
On Arabia?
Then, and then Robo was Hans' pocket, and then they just tripled on him, and he was so far behind.
I feel like this might again. So, Vinch had Franks, Repart had Magyars, and when I see the Aussies, it's like Hans and Khmer. Maybe it was again the pockets making the difference.
In a sense, it was, but it was so weird. Vinch just left Dark after he died, and he just beelined to Robo, where they tripled him at one stage, and because it's Hans, he can't really house wall delay it.
Yeah.
And they also it's such a small thing, but it made such a big impact. Robo and Soxy, they thought the way they moved their armies just meant they were really out of position there, which is unlucky because they thought afterwards we should have followed them around the right instead of going around the left. Basically, it's such a small thing, which is you'll kick yourself about it, but it's such an unlucky one.
Yeah, I mean it's still a super nice performance by Australia. Because if you think about this team, I think I saw Razor in the top 100 maybe once, he was 97 or something, and the other ones were 2K/2K1, and against them they beat Tato and Lan, they beat Genji, and then against Russia it was Dark and Winchester. Obviously Winchester top 10 player, Dark.
Know your place.
Definitely top 100, maybe top 50. Repart, sometimes top 100. So in terms of individuals 1v1 skills, they were definitely behind, but they played really well as a team in this group.
For sure. Razor for me had an excellent tournament. He was probably, I'd say he's probably the best individual performance, but it's really hard to I think it's really hard to say that because I think in general terms, the thing that was most impressive about the Aussies was the cohesion between the team. It was always a very good team performance, and not necessarily one player, dominating the game and then carrying everybody else. It was always very much the four of them working together.
Yeah.
They played the team game tournament.
Yeah.
If you can say it like that.
They understood the brief, for sure.
Yeah. Somebody he didn't play many games, but he did. They played against Sweden. Granted, I only saw one game of that, but no Zombie on Arabia against Sweden in the tiebreaker set. He really impressed me from what I saw there. The way he played. I know they ended up losing it, but it's the only game I watched. But he really I was like, damn, you wouldn't think that. Oh, he didn't play many games for them.
Yeah.
In the groups before that. And
I'm guessing they practiced with him. Shed played that set against.
He did.
I missed that, unfortunately. The glorious.
So we didn't have Robo in this one, of course, because that was just. I think he had only just gone off the plane for a few hours, so.
Yeah, I think something.
Yeah, he landed 4 hours before they started playing.
Yeah.
Which is just unlucky. I
Yeah,
It's
not
something
gonna play
that
your
like
best.
it's that I think Australia, like even their finishing position in the end, doesn't say how reflect how good they were, because I know they had good practice set results against China B, for example.
Mm-hmm.
Mhm.
They if I remember correctly from my head, it was 5-6, and China B was a really really strong team. So
5-6.
yeah, one of those losses, apparently one of the Aussies didn't play. Can't remember reasons, but from what I heard, it was they had solid performances against their practice partners, which were all
Yeah.
in their time zones. Even if you think, oh, these are definitely better teams, like I think China B is stronger, right? And
Yeah.
they had good results against a stronger team, so.
But I'll play
Nice.
devil's advocate in this one. I think maybe they were as competitive in Group D because they did have practice sets against teams like China B.
That could be.
You know, playing practice sets against a team with pretty good pedigree should set you up pretty well. You
Yeah.
want to play someone that's too shit, you're just going to roll them over. It's not going to really teach you anything,
Yeah.
but playing China B will teach you something, especially from Australia point of view.
I will say that also Group D was probably overall weaker than a lot of the groups. Like I think the level was very homogeneous, but I don't think like any of the teams from Group D is gonna finish really high in the competition. Like Sweden won, but I don't think they will do all that well in the top 16, and I don't think Russia is gonna do all that well either. I think actually both of them will finish like joint 13th to 16th.
I think
We'll
Sweden will
see.
go further.
So Sweden is gonna play against China, and if they drop, they're gonna play against the loser of Vietnam A and China B.
Double China.
So
I think that's what it's going to be.
it's probably gonna be double China, and it's probably gonna be tough.
I think
But
Sweden, for
we'll
me,
see.
they're still probably the other team that's outperformed the expectations the most. Like, we had them in predictions to finish top of the group, but like
Yeah.
most people weren't predicting that. Like,
No,
for
because they
us,
were seed 4.
they were seed 4, so like they are the one of the only few teams that actually got through. Let me look at the pots. So they were only one of 2 teams in pot 4 to get through. Actually, they're still in yellow here. I would need to update that.
Yeah.
China B being the other one from pot 4 to get through it, but China B
Mhm.
probably the team that were too low in the seeding
Yeah.
anyway. But Sweden a little bit more debatable for sure. But certainly it exceeded expectations. So I think like Sweden and Australia, both teams in that group, the 2 big
Yeah.
overachievers.
They didn't have. Oh, yeah, it was, and they even had that chaos bit game against Spain that I
Yeah.
really
We
remember.
could almost have had completely reversed order from the seeds in Group D, because Sweden was pot 4, they finished first. Spain was pot 1, they finished last. And then Russia and Australia, they finished 2 and 3, like their seed. But if it had been reversed, we would have like the complete reverse of the original seeding in that group.
Yeah, I don't know if I could have handled that. That would have been insane. This is the group I've enjoyed watching the most. It's like you've went into every series not knowing who's going to win any game. Apart from the Aussies and Team Acropolis, of course.
Yes, that was a given win for them all the time.
Are there any other teams that outperform expectations?
I don't think there is. I think you can make
I
an
have a
argument
few
for
other.
UK,
Yeah.
but
I had China B, UK, and potentially Vietnam, but again, like I think Vietnam, it was always gonna be a very strong team. They beat China, which was a surprise, but they didn't really greatly outperform expectations. They did slightly better than I was expecting. in UK and China, it was always also like, yeah, I think it was always gonna be very close sets between UK and Norway and China and Poland. Actually, UK did better, like much better than I thought.
Yeah.
Honestly,
I think we all realized both like China B and UK had potential. That's the thing. It was just like where are they capped at? Whereas like the Aussies, I think most people were expecting them to maybe put up fights in some games, but
Yeah.
maybe not like one in series and actually looking competitive in like most games.
yeah, I had them finish last of their group in my prediction,
Me
which
too.
was
Me too.
What? I was saying it's going to be Sweden and Russia. Not Sweden and Russia, Sweden and Australia. I missed it kinda, and I did say at least for me. Yeah.
My prediction was Sweden 1, Spain 2nd, Russia 3rd, Australia 4th. But I said anything else is possible.
We did say that. We said like anything can happen in this group, and that's certainly what we got.
Yeah.
I think honourable mentions to UK and China B. That's very fair, and maybe even Vietnam A as well.
Yeah.
I think Sweden and Australia are probably the two clear-cut candidates for big overachievers.
Yeah, definitely.
I love the fashion that Sweden went for in the tiebreaker as well. You know, like Australia didn't have the best day, but they still won 3-0 in the end, and then really put the hammer down against the Russians as well and won that one 2-1. And that it kind of sends a very clear message that they're not to be trifled with.
Yeah, for sure.
They're a good, solid team.
And they will also get to play, you could say, their map Chaos Pit now easily because nobody can like ban it.
Yeah.
It's a draft. Chaos Pit and Black Forest, I'm going to see a lot of that for them.
Chaos Pit against China A, that's going to be a... It's going to be interesting.
Be a nice set.
It's going to be interesting, isn't it?
Yeah. And Chaos Pit can go either way, right?
Yeah.
It's that type of map.
Against Lix. Let's see. Ganji versus Lix.
Oh, just imagine. Yesterday, Lix joined a BF lobby. He said he's just here to kill Viper. That's all he said.
Oh my god.
He wants the chaos.
Well, he's going to get it over the weekend, I'm sure. Let's move on to point 3 then. So, teams that had the expectations underperformed and we're probably going to stick to Group D.
Yeah, Spain.
I guess Spain are probably the biggest underperformers of the full tournament and practiced so much. Force pick and ladder, of course. Have one and Tato. Just didn't work. I don't know what to say. It just didn't work.
Yeah, like I don't know really what happened. Whether it was like because like they tried to practice together. I think maybe practice was a bit too late. Like I know like the Aussies they play team games, lobby team games between each other a lot of the time. The Swedes as well probably, or like at least they queue together. And I don't think Tato queues up with the other guys all that often. I don't think Lad plays a lot of team games, even though he's like obviously a fantastic player.
I don't know.
And the other ones like Moray, Tomate, and Rayo, like I don't know if they play a lot either. Moneyman I think plays a bunch, but maybe for him it's like individual skills. It's just like barely 2K. But yeah, they were seeded first, and they had pretty much 2 star players, Tattoo obviously and Lad. And yeah, they didn't manage to pull it together, and it was a pretty big upset, I'd say.
Just didn't work. Just didn't work at all. I think it's probably a good point that the other teams have probably been playing together a lot more in like recent months, maybe even into years, where Spain tried to get the sessions in before the start. And like they did practice a lot, but it just probably wasn't quite enough. You can't make up all that difference.
Too little, too late, probably.
Yeah.
Also,
they did one game against every team. They won Migration against Sweden.
They won Migration.
Australia.
And they won 2
Rivers.
Yeah.
Against Russia.
I think the best of 5 might suit them well. because I feel like they're better on like water hybrid type
Mhm.
maps. From what I saw, but like they seem. I'm gonna say more adaptable because it's you still have your metas on those maps, but I feel like they are just so much. They're really really good on those types of maps, and that's where Tato and land skills really like pushes them ahead.
I think,
Yeah.
From at least from what I saw.
yeah, I think if they can somehow get a water hybrid map on game one, and then have two really confident home maps, I think they should be very, very good in the best of five format. Actually,
Yeah.
Yeah.
like the best of five format, it's all going to be about banking on your home maps, and then trying to get an advantageous game one map. I can see a lot
Yeah.
of sets going to 3-2s, and maybe some like I can honestly see a lot of teams stomping in home maps, and it'll come down to that game one. But we'll see. They do look very comfy in like your migration. Migration, they look super, super good.
Yeah, and I definitely think they should pick it as one of their two home maps going forward in Silver League, right?
Team Islands, I can see Two Rivers as well. Played Chaos Pit a little bit as well on qualifiers, so maybe they'd be happy to do that. Let's see. Teams that had expectations but underperformed. It's kind of, I don't think anyone's in the same level as Spain in that one, to be honest.
No, yeah.
You could maybe argue, not at the same level, but Norway, out of a fan favorite perspective, with Viper and MBL, people
Yeah.
would.
Yeah, and again, maybe slightly Poland, but like we said, it was always gonna be close.
They're probably just a tier below Spain, but they're definitely they're
Yeah.
probably in
Yeah.
the honourable mention kind of like category.
Mm.
I think we've kind of chatted about it before. I think a lot of the expectation was put on Norway mainly because of the show match. We've actually got
Where they had a good result against France.
the two each there, and I don't know. I think it was maybe a little bit of a downfall as well, and maybe took quite a bit of confidence from that result because France were the seeded one team. They're like, we're decent guys. We're actually kind of hot shit. We should. We're probably going to beat UK.
I don't
and
think
Denmark.
so.
I
don't
think there
think
maybe
so.
was. I think there maybe was.
I don't think so because I don't think like even if they had lost 5-0 against France, I don't think they would have changed anything about the way they practice. You know, like maybe MBL would have like I don't know felt like a little bit less confident. I don't think it would have changed anything to Viper's mindset. You know, and I think like Kalar was like I don't think it changed anything really. And they didn't get to play. Maybe the show match was harmful to them in the sense that it showed that okay, Norway seems to be good on close maps, so the teams banned Black Forest against them. Mostly the UK banned Black Forest against them, which was the main. Well, probably like the map where Norway would have been most favored against the UK, but I honestly don't think it would have changed much.
I think UK would have banned it anyway,
I think
even
UK
without
would
that.
have known to ban it either way because they were so well prepared.
I think anyone would have banned Black Forest against Norway. Doesn't matter if it's UK.
Yeah.
I think any team they were drawn against probably would have banned Black Forest. I think anyone would have been happy to do that.
But I would say, at least on a personal level, they did disappoint a bit. I thought they would care a little bit more for Nations Cup, because it's not a bad team. Yeah, they don't have 4 superstars and that, but I still think it's manageable for them. They could have gotten into the top 16 with the team and a bit of practice they had.
I think it's good enough.
Yeah, I don't think you can expect the team to practice a lot, like knowing, like Vapor was gonna play NEC as well, you know. So
I know it's a lot of.
And some of the performances were not that bad. Like I think the set against Finland, okay, they got bodied on Nomad. It was crazy, but on Team Island, they They played well. Like for a moment, it felt like Norway had a slight edge, and like eventually, like obviously, Finland's
Didn't they also have
performance
a
pulled through.
okay Team Islands game against Great Britain?
Against the UK, I think they should have won that game, but I think maybe
It was
there was some
shaky.
mistakes they made.
It was
Yeah.
shaky.
Uh,
The UK were playing for late game essentially.
Yeah,
They
and
were
I think what happened is that Norway didn't prepare, like they didn't manage to close out the game. They had an edge, and they didn't close out the game. Against Finland, it was
That's
more
a
like they
bit
looked
weird.
good at some moments.
Because I know Kong played it, and it gets that I don't like when I like you get that something like you don't know what to do next. At
Yeah,
least, and I think that's what happened with Kong, and nobody guided him through that.
yeah,
So it's also a bit of a leadership problem.
hmm
That is maybe in that specific team was lacking a bit. It's guiding because I know even me sometimes I'm just like, okay, what should I do now? I don't know what to do, and then you just run around with your army doing
yeah,
nothing, kind of thing, and that
and
It was maybe
yeah, I
too
think it's also
relaxed.
difficult.
yeah. And I remember it was that Team Islands game against Finland. Viper's playing galleys. He was outplaying. I can't remember who it was against. It was 3 docks against 4 docks, and beating the defender's advantage. It was just like insane that I remember seeing that as like I thought like, oh, hey, this looking good, but again, it's that finishing off the game type.
Yeah. Which game are you talking about against the UK?
It was no, it was against Finland if I remember
Yeah,
correctly.
yeah,
They
yeah.
played Team Islands also. It
Viper
was
was playing incredible.
I can't remember who he was fighting against,
I think
but
it
I
was
remember
against Rubenstock, wasn't he? Because he was on NBL's side, and
It
it
looks
was
like
against Max and Rubenstock.
it looks like they
I
got
know he went
Viper
forward
in.
docks.
Was Viper pocket in that game?
Yes, he was. He
Yeah.
went
Yeah,
forward.
he
He
was
went forward
pocket,
dock.
And he's
but
just
it was
he's just
Rubenstock making
Saracens.
water.
It's cheat mode.
Yeah. I mean, I think Viper played amazing every single game. That maybe in the BF game it was not as determinant of a factor, and like there was some games where MBL played incredible and could have won, and some games where MBL played a little bit less good, and obviously they lost. I think the Team Island game against the UK, like MBL was a bigger factor in his landing against Finland than against the UK. While in theory, you could say players of the caliber of Finland, they should react better to the landing. So maybe MBL wasn't having like a great day against the UK. I don't know.
Didn't look like
Oh,
it.
that's the one way when he just like
He made 7 ranges, Panda.
yes in feudal age. I
His
remember
Malians
that it was
cheaper. So
Yeah.
it's just fine. This is fine. My ranges are cheaper. I'll just keep making them until a unit doesn't even scale to bracer. But yeah, that's not what you're really worrying about. God, MBL did not have a good day that day at
I
all.
think what caught
Yeah.
them now that we're talking while we're on the Team Island subject on against and that's the one against Finland is MBL was a bit too focused on killing Max that day. If I remember
Do you think
correctly.
he should have switched to the other side? Maybe.
Yeah, Max was out of it. From what I remember, and the other pocket? It was Valas, and he just had a free boom as Japanese.
Mm-hmm.
And then he hits him faster than everyone else. Fast fire ship wins all the water on his own. And then it was basically like it's that, and I mean it happens, right? You get tunnel vision. You're focusing on this one guy because Max had Lithuanians there. It's such a strong sub, right? Like he killed Max, and then the focus was, then it was a bit tunnel vision and not switching over to pressuring Valas, if I remember correctly. I mean, this was also more than a month ago. At least from what I remember, but they're definitely entertaining games to watch. Norway,
Yeah.
and they have they play against in the Silver League the winner of France B and Netherlands A, which
Should be
Yeah,
a
So
fun
it
series.
could be another interesting. Yeah.
Yeah, it should be a
No
fun
Scott
series.
man.
And I think Viper said he's gonna play Silver League. So yeah.
I think NBL even seems quite keen on it as well, from what he was talking like on stream. I think
That's good.
I think they'll get behind the Silver Boy meme for sure. They're all going to be Silver Boys.
Yeah. They have a decent run in in their half of the bracket. Decent.
Yeah,
Like,
I see them make semifinals in Silver.
We'll see. We'll see. Well, they're in Silver
Yeah.
League. They're in Silver League with some more teams. Maybe we'll move on to the next one. That's teams that had no expectations that still managed to underperform. Thanks for the sub as well, Sean, by the way. So who this is actually you. This is your list, Tarsiz. So who could you
This is
possibly? Don't. Whoa. This is your list. Who could you possibly be talking about? A team had really no expectations and still underperformed.
Well, it's definitely not Germany B because I'm rooting for that team. So I think I was actually thinking about the American roster, USA A, that definitely some people had on their radar as potentially a team that some would say slightly overrated. I don't want to ruffle any feathers, or anything. But it seems that this team did not manage to live up to the expectations that some of its members may have had. I don't think many other people had expectations for that team, but well, we'll see what they do in Silver League. There's still a possibility of USA A against USA B in Silver League.
Hype. Okay.
But it's gonna be tricky because it would mean USA A has to be Taiwan, which is not gonna happen.
I mean, if you look at Taiwan. Oh no, sorry. Never, ignore me. I was looking at the wrong Taiwan team. Yeah, no,
It's Taiwan A, so
yeah,
even
I
Taiwan
was
B
looking
would be tricky.
I was like, I mean, Taiwan B had a 3-2 against New Zealand, and I was like, wait, no, they didn't consider.
I mean, Taiwan B gave Argentina B a competitive set to qualify for Gold League for main event. So knowing that Argentina beat the US, USA would probably have a tough time against Taiwan B already. So Taiwan A is probably gonna play a part. Okay, we can move on to the next point. Like, unless you guys have other teams that had no expectations yet still managed to underperform.
I don't think you can say.
Honestly, I think Yoshi's
Mexico.
point about Mexico B is a good point. Like, this is a team.
No,
Yeah, true.
This is actually a team that we had zero expectations for them, but they still fuck it up.
Yeah.
They still messed it up.
Yeah,
They literally
That's actually a very
underperformed.
good point.
I expected my performance level for them was okay. I expect you just to get game scheduled. I expect you to behave, which in fairness they did do in the qualifiers. They actually managed to do it, and then Seam and I done the group draw, and I drew Argentina and Mexico B. I didn't really show it too bad on screen, but I absolutely cringed inside. I was like, oh no. I was like, if there's gonna be any problems, it's gonna come from these two teams. And I remember saying it in our admin chat later on that night, and I was like, "Oh, we're quite happy for the deal." I was like, "Mexico B and Argentina in the same group," and I'm like, "I've got a very bad feeling about this," and my bad feelings were in the right place. I just knew there was something going to happen there, and I did. Just Mexico B did underperform. They weren't able to do the bare minimum.
When I was writing my group stage preview, it was on purpose. I didn't write a single word about Mexico B. The only mentions I made of them was like that they were a team in that group, and that I think they were gonna finish 4th.
Yeah,
and I'm really happy. Like it's crazy. Yeah, that's a good one for this category. Actually, it's probably even better than the US.
I think so.
Honestly.
Honestly, I think so. They couldn't even do the bare minimum. At least the US came here and played all games. They gave it their best, and now they're going to be in Silver League.
No, France B didn't underperform Hugo. They were expected to lose.
Yeah, honestly, France B did an amazing job to even be there in the first place. I don't think there's any
Just
other
to qualify.
Yeah,
they are the only team who upset in the qualifying match. They beat Finland B, which were seeded higher.
I think everyone else is good though. Everyone else is in the clear.
Yeah.
I'm sure the US team's thrilled to be in the same conversation as Mexico B. Anyway, moving on to number 5. Teams that made it to the main event by nothing short of a miracle and performed pretty much as expected. So we're just talking about France B. France B are probably the clear case for that one.
Yeah, I had 2 other teams in there. I had Denmark, which beat Japan 3-2. So it was a very close set. I think a lot of us, maybe even like all 3 of us, thought that Japan would probably take it against Denmark. So props to Denmark for.
I think that Japan's going through.
Okay, maybe not, but I think Paradox and me at least, we thought that Japan was gonna go through.
No, I said that. I remember.
Okay.
I was the one. I was thinking it might be a close set, but I see Japan taking it.
Yeah.
I think we said it was going to be a 3-2, and that's what did happen.
Just the other way around.
Yeah, I mean, I didn't watch it, but from what I was told, it could have easily been 3-2 Japan. That wasn't the final result, but from what I was told,
I think it was like a very, very close set. Like,
yeah,
by all means. And the other team I had in this, so France B and Germany B as well. Germany B, a team I'm rooting for because of reasons.
I'm gonna.
And yeah, they had a very strong group. Well, no, they didn't have a very strong group, but they will just outmatch, I think.
Yeah, I guess Germany B is not a bad shout. I had them taking.
They did get a game.
Yeah, so getting a game is not bad.
The only team that hasn't won a single game was Mexico B, so that's also pretty cool.
Yeah, do you know what?
Every team managed to get a game.
Every team has won a game. Do you know what? I've not actually thought about that.
Yeah.
It's like every team has at least one moment of joy. Might not be a very long moment, but it certainly gives you something to cling on to.
Yeah. Spain is the best team that finished 4th, with being the only one who won 3 games, and Czech Republic won 2.
I'd rather only win 1 game.
Yeah.
You know, I'd rather only win 1 game than win 3 games and finish bottom and lose every series 2-1. I think that's even worse, especially when you're the top seed.
Yeah.
I think so. I'm not too sure. And is there really anyone else I could put in there? Who did Brazil B have to qualify against? I think they had a pretty good seed though, so it wasn't.
I think it was I think it was pretty well. I think they were seeded 4th, but it was pretty easy for them.
I think they did have I think they did have an easy-ish.
They played against Argentina C.
Okay, yeah.
They won 3-0. It was pretty convincing.
Yeah. Right, France B, the clear team that had the biggest upset getting there, for sure.
Mm-hmm.
And then probably honorable mention to Germany B, who done good.
Yeah.
6 best sets of the group. This is a good question. This is a tough question.
I have 3 choices, but maybe Panda, you want to start?
That's why I'm gonna get caught out. I didn't watch as much as I would have liked to.
Okay, so maybe I can get started because I have written
all the Aussie sets. I'll just go there.
The first one I have is obviously unbiased, but
oh my god, here
it is Canada against France. I think that was an amazing set. Like even if like obviously I was probably rooting for France. I watched this set twice. I watched it casted and I watched it from Hare's point of view. I think it was just like a very great set. Definitely because it revealed how well Canada was playing. But I think like at least the whole 3 games were really nice. Like the Team Island game was insane. The migration game was good, and then the chaos beat game at the end with like double douche, complete chaos from France was really good, really fun as well. So I think it was a very impressive set. Yeah, exactly what Caput is saying in chat. It was a very impressive set from Canada. It was very entertaining as well. So I think to me it was one of the best sets.
I think for me, this one had the most surprise factor, especially considering how early it was in the tournament. March 3rd, we've got here
Yeah.
in Wikipedia, so it was nearly 4 weeks ago now.
Hmm.
I was with the opening game for both of these, opening series for both of these teams in this group. It was kind of like, wow, it made you really take notice of Canada and also take notice of France and being like, huh, this is like the number one seeded team. So like for the wow factor, I think you
Yeah.
definitely have to consider it for sure.
Another I have would be Spain against Sweden. I think this was a pretty good one, especially the chaos speed game. I think one of the players got defeated, so that's why it got my eye. I
Tamati,
think it was overall a pretty good set
poor
with
Tamati.
this very memorable chaos speed game.
Yeah, I'm gonna have memories of
Uh,
Tamati hiding underneath Moray's castle with his 4 villagers for a while yet.
and the last set I have in there was Taiwan against Mexico. So obviously we've talked about the game one situation, but like I think what was good about this set was that we knew it was two teams that were very evenly matched,
Mm-hmm.
and also everything was on the line. Like, uh, like whoever won this was gonna qualify, and there was no like other possible scenario. And so it was like a very close set, and good games. Both team islands were pretty good. Migration was good, and Two Rivers was good. Even though Mexico had won by the time Two Rivers arrived, so unfortunately there was like a little bit less stakes on that final game. But yeah, those would be my three picks.
I like it should have came down to just that series between Mexico and Taiwan. I couldn't believe that Brazil B were actually in the driving seat in that last series against Mexico A. They
Mhm.
won migration and they could like all they'd have to do was then win their home map. But like Combi actually have decent experience playing Nomad now, so I don't think it's going to
Yeah,
be a particular weak part for them. But man, that was an important win for Mexico A. I think for
yeah,
me, these are the series that are the kind of the most impressive ones. The ones like the must-win series that really
yeah.
puts everything on the line. So I'm looking like for me, Mexico A against Brazil B. That for me, that's a really important one, simply
Mhm.
because of that. And then I'm looking at like Sweden against Russia in the tiebreaker, winning that 2-1, and
Yeah.
maybe even the 3-0 against Australia. I feel like Sweden just came out and dominated that tiebreaker.
Mhm.
Absolutely, like five games to one, and I think deservedly going through in Group D.
Yeah, for sure.
And if I was going to miss out any other ones, I mean, I think China B versus Poland was also a very good series. That final game in Arabia of Ming
Yeah.
and God mode of Franks was super impressive.
Yeah, that game is one of my contenders for the next category.
Yeah, so like for
Yeah.
me, it's like these overall series are just like it's about the whole narrative and where they actually are in the group and how important they are. I think for me was great.
Yeah.
It's like who's the teams going to be fighting for second? It's usually going to be these teams between second and third, and then I
Yeah.
guess UK and Norway. I think that's again for the surprise factor. Pete and
Yeah,
I,
yeah, it was another great set. Like eventually it ends up with like a 3-0, but it was a good set to watch because we weren't like really sure what to expect from UK. It was their first set,
we didn't expect
and
3-0.
Norway had gotten 3-0 by Finland, which was probably expected. Like Finland is so good. So yeah, we were like, oh, what's gonna happen? And yeah, UK showed up to play and won this convincingly.
Pete said in chat to me before it started, it's like the only thing I can't predict is 3-0 UK, and I was like, Pete, I 100% agree. And yeah, that's of course what happened, wasn't it?
Yeah.
You got 3-0 to UK. And that to me that was just a huge surprise factor. I was like, wow, made you really take notice of the UK team. I was wrong, but Pete, we were both wrong. We were both
Yeah,
wrong.
I mean, I was wrong too.
I was thinking.
Yeah, you were definitely wrong.
Going into the before they played any games, I thought like, okay, Norway wins this 2-1, and then they played against Finland. I was like, oh wait, this is a disaster. It's like, yeah, they're not winning. I thought they'll still take a game of UK, but it turned out even worse than that. At least that was just me. At least what I was thinking. But even everyone wrong in their own way. In the end.
Do you have any set that any other set that
Any
comes to your mind,
set?
and as like one of the
It's
best
more
group stage
for me.
sets?
It's mostly games that stood out.
Okay. Well, then maybe
Individual
we
ones.
can move on to the
Yeah, well,
next category.
let's go on to 7N because that's gonna be best games of the group stage. Maybe you can fill us in, Panda, because you are like our expert game resident. I think you've probably seen more games than any of us.
I don't know. My problem is I follow the Aussie group the most.
Well, that's my problem.
Because
that's
yeah,
most of the shit I've casted
and
is Group D.
For me, there are two games in that group that stood out. It was Sweden Russia on Chaos Pit. The one where Warrior counter-douched.
Oh, that's probably one of the best moments I've had, like, in this group stage.
For me, it was such a great game, and it's the one where Dark went up to 180 volts, right?
GG.
And then you were saying he should Bomber Tower Rush, and then they went Cattle Frags right before the GG. Like it would have been such a dark thing. But then also into that tiebreaker set, the Arabia game between Russia and Sweden. Warrior was on 18 volts against Imperial. Oh, close to Impact. Can't remember exactly, but against Mind's player, and then Ripard and Dark did their thing on the other side. Mostly Ripard, and then Dark kind of just held it. It was such a one of those that games that amazed me.
With Chinese pockets for Winchester.
And he was holding against Mayans and Khmer.
Mayans, Khmer.
Yeah, mainly Khmer.
Ganji,
and they had
Darkly Wise.
Ethiopians as well on the other side.
It stood out for me, and then you talked about it in the previous topic. Was the China B Poland Arabia game, because it was again that team has one guy that's kind of out of it. Was Stray Dog. He tried the Goths thing, but he didn't really do the Goths thing. And then Koala was running around with a Rambai doing his thing. But you weren't thinking, they're not going to do anything. Nothing's going to come from this game. And then just suddenly Ming hits MPS Paladin. And it's like, what? The game suddenly turned around.
To me, what was crazy is how poorly it started from China. They tried this strategy. And Stray Dog messed up minute 1 of trying it. And it was just Ball is gonna absolutely slaughter him. And on the other side, I think Jibetong had the edge over El Noniro, but it wasn't clear cut. And then little by little, they started clawing their way back. I think Koala did a lot more damage than he would have hoped originally with his Arambai. Killed a lot of villager from Jamjack and Jack. And then at the end, suddenly Ming has Paladin everywhere. It was insane.
And even Ming hits Castle Edge. He has 4 stables, but he drops
4 stables.
He drops 2 extra TCs. What's his plan here? Is he going all in? Does he want to boom? And it just that greeted perfect for it. I'm trying to think.
It's interesting that both of these last 2 games that you mentioned, Russia and China B on Arabia, both were won with a Frank pocket player.
Yeah.
And when we think about the current meta, and especially I think because of Battle of Africa, we think about very fast builds, archers dominating from feudal age, etc., and then arbalest timing and all that. And so I think maybe in 4v4 it opens up to more possibilities. We've seen Russia win with an almost dead flank, China B do kind of the same with Stray Dog not being a big factor with the Goth. So yeah, it's interesting to see. It's kind of
And if I have to give an honorable mention on this, at least from my side, was Denmark against UK on Arabia. The way it opened for Denmark, you thought this is gonna go rough because Kongen accidentally built a stable as flank. and it looked rough for them. And then it was just like that perfect, oh, not perfect necessarily, but good decision from Pocket with the timing they hit
Yeah,
Darboy on
Darboy.
flank at the perfect time where it does damage.
Did that
And
double him?
I can't remember exactly, but
Yeah. I
but
think that's what happened. I
he
think
was still busy walling his back, and then a lot of
yeah.
scouts came in during his transition to Castle Age, and he lost so many goals.
I think good luck switched side, or maybe it was good luck hitting him and not Salad. But I
He
think good luck
definitely did, and
swapped side, and then Darboy lost 20 villagers in like 1 minute. It was absolutely brutal.
and that's at least that game was also for me. It was, and it just I think it does that's what makes 4v4s great. Is you
Yeah.
can have a guy die, but as a
Mm.
team you can still come back from that. It's not 3v3. If your flank die is dead, the game's over. Here
Yeah.
is still this you have space for Pocket to, like he's safe for longer, and the other Pocket can come over to defend and all those things. It's very interesting, and I think for me going into the tournament, I thought Arabia is going to be the worst map based on what I've seen from meta, and it has
It's probably been the
not been
best.
like that. Yeah,
It's probably been the best. Now we're actually talking about it. I'm like just having this like internal realization. I don't know what to say. I don't know what to think. 'Cause the other game that I would add in is the Sweden Australia game on Arabia in the tiebreaker. I think that's probably the best game there's been in the opening stage.
that is also true. That swung
That
a
was a
couple of
crazy
times.
game. That swung a couple of times. It was super fun. And I think I was gonna add another game. It's probably the China Vietnam game on Arabia, where we had Yo go Iron by from Pocket. It wasn't like a great game, but it was like I was like fuck, like what are China trying here? I was like this is not fit in with like the formula that's certainly expected on 4v4 Arabia. It's just like whoa.
That's what they used to do in like a couple patches ago, maybe 2021, 2020. They would
That's what
play
always been.
humans pockets, and they had this like Incas and Burmese, or Goth and Burmese. Sometimes it'd be like Incas on one side, Goth
It
on
was
the other
you.
side, and
It
Burmese
was
in the middle.
usually Goths
Goth,
Burmese
Burmese,
or
yeah.
Goth Spanish. That's what they did back when they did those
Okay,
4v4
yeah,
show
and
matches.
yeah, and it was
But
super strong.
and that
So
was when Aramba was still busted with the 18
yeah.
attack.
Mhm.
And I mean, it still works even after it got
Yeah.
nerfed. So
I think Licks managed to get more damage than Straight Arc, but still, I think maybe like Team was not playing as well as Ming, and also on the other side, I think Semi Name was absolutely beastly that game. He definitely completely had the edge over Vivi, and yeah, like Semi Name and Kyukwai on their side, they really had the edge over the other guys. So I think that was the main determinant factor in China A losing with this strat when China B
Yeah.
won with it.
Yeah, it's a interesting game. I'm gonna add one more, and I've had to think about it. It's a Team Acropolis game between India and USA, with Dragon Star
Okay.
coming forward and going for the towers with Bulgarians. For me,
I haven't watched that one, but that sounds really fun.
that
I
was
need to watch
a
it.
fun game. And for on Team Acropolis, maybe the
Yeah.
France B versus Italy game, where they went double forward, with the ranges against Italy. That was also super interesting.
I think French used to do a lot of that on ladder on Lombardia. Like they had this like strategy where they would send two guys forward, play Saracens a lot, sometimes Cumans, and do a bit of forward like that on Lombardia, which is kind of similar of Team Acropolis in the sense that you'll start,
spawning together.
Yeah, you spawn far from the opponent, and you're all very close to one another. But Team Acropolis is a bit more easy to defend with the heal that, so it's interesting that it worked there. Well, I have one more to add to this, and I've mentioned it in the previous point. It would be like the Team Island game between Canada and France. I think
Oh
it
my
was
god.
it was
You just can't.
super
you
crazy.
literally just can't shut up about this team.
He's
Yeah,
going to
no, I
milk that
got, I
game.
got.
God, man.
I think
Uh,
as well.
I talked about the set, but like this game, you know, like you had Hera and Mentalist going double landing, Mentalist landing with Mayans, and then on the other side, I think it was Sisalet. He landed with Persians. Yeah, it was complete chaos everywhere. They were, I don't know, like I think like Hera died twice, but then they killed Clement completely and Sito, and like, it was insane. And it was not good being a villager in this game.
I think that impressed me the most from that game was Slam was playing water, and he dealt with the initial landing.
Yeah.
At
I think
the
he
same
was
time.
water against Margoo, and Margoo was
Yeah.
pretty much untouched, and Slam had the scouts from Sadet in his eco, and yet he managed to at least do equal against Margoo, which was very impressive.
Yeah, that was. It was just doing the Slam thing. He's quiet and. You know, like he does his own thing. You know, you're safe on that side in a way.
And now I'll shut up about this set.
You'll find another.
Yeah, I don't think that's going to be you, Don, in that
reason.
one. Let's be real. Come on now.
Well, until point 8, I can shut up on.
Okay, so we kind of touched on it there. It seems like most of our best games are all from Arabia. Doesn't necessarily make it the best map, though. That is the question.
Good question.
Like,
Kaspet has had good games from what
Yeah.
I've seen.
does it make it the best map because the best games are on there? It's like,
I don't. For me, it will be Team Acropolis, but that's very biased because I've always loved the map.
Yeah, I think it depends from which perspective you're placing yourself. I think to me, I'm purely a spectator in this tournament. I'm not playing. I haven't played in a long time. So it's just like which map gives me the most entertainment. And so that would be Team Island or Migration. Have been the most entertaining games to watch.
I've really enjoyed the Team Islands games. And you know what? When it gets to the hour and 30 slugfest and wood is running out,
That's true.
and the wood price starts to go up, some people don't enjoy that. That's when I'm getting the popcorn out.
Really?
That's when I'm getting the 3D glasses on. I want more. I want to see how high that wood price can go.
For me, it's at least I didn't see the one game that ran till wood game, but they were all the ones that I did see. They were all really good. And
like I love the landing dynamic, the counter landings and the defensive landings on Team Islands, especially in the 4v4. It's pure. A lot of it is chaos. It can get a little bit stalemate, for sure. If you just love pure chaos, it's called chaos, but I don't think there's any. There's probably no map that's more
chaotic.
Just chaotic in general for the first like 25 minutes.
Yeah.
It's insane. It's too chaotic. You can't track everything.
Yeah, it feels like it's impossible to cast. Like you could cast the same game twice and focus on entirely different things, and it will still be fun to watch and fun to cast because there's so much happening everywhere.
Yeah. It's hard to be in the right place at the right time.
Yeah. Can I give what I thought was the worst map?
I was about to ask the same thing. What has been the worst map?
Personally, Golden Lakes, but that's just me from playing it. I have not been a fan. But yeah, it's.
Well, we've had a few maps that have barely seen any play in the mini events.
Yeah, that's
like
also a bit
Hideouts
of a problem.
and African Clearing, I think.
I think Hideout is a map we might see a bit more, and there's room to be doing something on that with how it can play out. Potentially, but maybe we won't see. But I think we'll see it a bit more than we used to see, because now like you can't ban it, right? First up, so.
What have we had? We had Hideout 2 times, African Clearing 2 times, the absolute minimum from groups, Black Forest on 4, and then Mega Random on 5. honestly, the mega random games I've saw and extended into Silver League haven't been that bad. Surprisingly.
Yeah.
It's because we had good land maps.
I mean, like
I think we had fairly standard, generations probably.
that's the point. Like, it's we engineered it to have mostly land land scripts. Like, we didn't want to have these weird swampy terrains in like nearly every fucking one like it is on the ladder. It just wasn't what we wanted to do.
Did you see the one Switzerland got yesterday?
I didn't see that, but I did.
It's probably the worst mega random generation.
Yeah. I did ask Dave. I said, "What was the mega random generation like?" He said, "Nah, it wasn't very good."
It's probably the worst one that I've seen in a long time. But otherwise, it's been good. The generations we've had so far.
It's definitely been more stable than what you would get from ladder. You know, that's a little bit more predictable for sure, which is nice. I don't think teams are going to pick it though in best of 5. We might start to see it more game ones if teams continue to play chicken with it and to just refuse to ban it.
Yeah.
We'll see. I can see Golden Lakes being a disappointment.
I feel like
the Netherlands-Hungary game the other day was very good on it. I don't know if
It was pretty good,
that was a very good game in Golden Lakes. It looked like Darknet, but just like Pepegid lost 2 Vels on that dock. Somehow we had a situation where we had one team in North and South Pond, and then the other team in East and West Pond. Like, I don't think I've ever saw that on the map so far. I was like, what the fuck is going on here? It was like one of the best games I've seen in Golden Lakes.
There was some pretty good games. Like I don't dislike the map. I can imagine it being hard to play. Like Panda was talking also from a playing perspective.
I played it twice, and it didn't do it for me. But I think it could also be from a team's perspective. They're not my teammates aren't necessarily comfortable playing hybrid-ish maps.
Yeah, I've seen a couple of Golden Lakes, like Brazil against Austria. I think maybe Spain against Australia. Like those 2 games were pretty good. I think Margu almost got defeated on Golden Lake as well against Italy, which was fun.
Yeah.
And Denmark against Norway was pretty good too.
I think the design of the map is good, but it's certainly a challenging map to play from what I've been told from players.
Yeah.
Which is understandable. There's a lot of different. It's got a different flow to it, and the design makes you play in different areas, and obviously the hybrid aspect's always going to be difficult.
Yeah.
Is there anything else? I don't think so. I think we're going to see a lot more BF as we get into the last 16. Chaos Pit was banned quite a bit. We could see that some more. That was only played 7 times. Feels like it's been more than that, but obviously not. And then Nomad has played 11 times, but most of that was from the China and Vietnam group. Even like Czech Republic were quite happy to play Nomad in that group, which for me was bizarre. When you're matched up against Vietnamese and a Chinese team. Didn't really understand that.
I wonder if we could potentially see more Game 1 on Arabia. Now
I think it's
because it's 2 picks, right? From now on. And then you start banning, and then like you pick your comfort, like your home maps, like that you really prepared on, and you don't ban Arabia and you let it go to there, and then then I'm pretty sure most teams will trust themselves.
I guess it depends if I guess some teams have like a profile that is like Arabia-ish, you know, like I don't know, like France. You would say they're probably like an Arabia team. Like and also maybe in matches where there's like a big level discrepancy. Like for example, is Mexico gonna pick Arabia against Finland? Is Sweden is gonna try to play Arabia against China, or UK against Canada? It feels like unlikely that we'll see Arabia in those sets, unless it's picked, obviously.
I think it depends.
Canada will pick Arabia.
Yeah, they'll pick it, but UK is not gonna let it be the neutral map. I think they would feel more comfortable, like I don't know, playing Team Island is a neutral map against Canada.
I
Or
think so.
Migration, maybe.
I can see both sides. I think it depends. Like, if you do want to use Arabia as your comfort, it's a risk reward. Do you want to just pick it as the home map so you know you have it, or do you leave up the risk that it gets to game one, which it might not get there. That's the thing. So it's just about risk management when you're doing your draft.
Yeah,
Is it like
sure.
you want your home maps to be a knockout? You absolutely want to give yourself the best odds possible. And maybe Arabia is
Agreed.
going to be that sometimes, maybe it's not. And then game one, so a bit forcing, trying to get those, still just a bit trying to tip the scales in your favor as best as you can. And you can do it with some clever bans. I kind of like, I like, I don't know how you draft Panda, but I like banning on like map type. So if I'm banning Black Forest, I'll generally ban something like Arena or Hideout together. It will usually be like in pairs. And that kind of eliminates whole one map type. Is what I usually do.
We have a kind of set, we ban Nomad and then take it from there. But it's mostly because my team are mostly comfortable playing land maps. We start ban Nomad and then Hybrid and then we leave it. Try to leave get Arabia Team Acropolis if we haven't picked it.
Mm-hmm.
It's it's at least most before the tournament started. I think I had two players. They were like, "We are not playing Team Islands." I was like, "Okay, that's bit." But I mean, we are, but we're playing Roots League, so it's understandable. It's people aren't comfortable playing that.
See, we thrive on the maps that people aren't playing, and that's kind of like our whole game plan. It's easy.
But also
it's like easy for me to give directions when I've like casted so many games on it now. I have a pretty good image of like how a game should be won on a certain map. So if we're picking the maps that are a little bit more off meta, so to speak, I'm just trying to tip the scales as best as I can for my team. Whereas if I end up going to try and target Arabia Arena maps that can get practiced on the ladder all the time, or hasn't got water on it, it's kind of like it does even it out a little bit more. So I'm just trying to tip the scales as much as I can.
I think in our case, it's more like because we have me and we have Lozit, and we're like between 16 and 1700. We trust our skills to carry from our positions in the standard meta at least, and then we give clear. Then it's clear who has what role, and we can switch it up. At least what we did this weekend was Lozit plays flank and I play pocket, and then we each play our own side and try and guide our guys through it. Where if it's something crazy like Team Islands, I know we played one game on it, and it was so hard telling. It's like, okay, we are our best water players, so we play water, and then it's like we tell the other players, you land, you defend from landing. It's hard to guide them through that because playing water is really hard to focus, right? Because you have to constantly micro. I actually played water, Pete. I made galleys, but it's hard to in that sense to deal with guiding players on maps with such much focus and maybe too much chaos. At least that's how I feel for us. And so at least I try to keep it as simple as possible. There's a bit of a role. It was, for example, our last game that we did play was we're playing on Hideout, and I was telling who was my pocket checkmate. It's like, you take gods, I trust you to boom and spam Huskarls and helps and clean up all over the map. I will buy you time to get to that. And he understood that brief, and I made sure that I gave him all the time in the world to do that. And and on my side, he won the game because it was like I made sure he had a straight game plan, and it was not overcomplicating it, and that we could both focus on, at least on our side, to make it what's the best for the team, given what we have as a skill set.
Which is easier said and done in some maps than others. Because
Definitely.
the Golden Lakes, you don't actually know where you're going to spawn TC-wise. Two Rivers, you don't technically know where you're going to spawn TC-wise either. Migration, you could be super close on flanks. And these are like just some things you have to like, you either have to be like noticing within the first few minutes and then calling out and then maybe like adapting your plan. Nomads, of course, the big one, right?
Definitely.
Where you have
and Golden Lakes, we played Golden Lakes against Belgium B, and my instructions weren't clear enough, and it ended up being bad on our side because I was not clear, and that was my fault. I should have, because beforehand we were talking like Laming is really strong on this map, especially given that at least we think Belgium plays their best players on flank, and if you can like take a boar away and maybe dock and cause disruptions, it's good for us as a team.
Yeah.
But then the map spawned in a way where it was better to just play it safe, and I was not clear from my side. Like, okay, let's play safe, and it's a very interesting dynamic, so to say, and how you figure that out. And it's in a sense the same problem Norway had, can I say? Where they have two good players on their team, and then they have other players, and how do you balance that?
Yeah.
But,
that's been a big problem for them.
Yeah, and I'm actually liking the challenge. I think we've figured out what works for our team, and now it's just maximizing on that and improving from there.
Yeah.
I don't want to rush YoungPanda, but
no,
I don't have
sorry.
like I think I should probably drop soon. So do you guys want to move on to the next points?
Yeah.
Very quickly, we have one more. The other one is not really.
We kind of went over map, so yeah. Best drama. Saving the best for last. There's been some good ones. There has been some good ones.
No, has there really been any good drama? Like,
I mean, I don't think I'm really
drama
appropriate to say, but
okay, I think the talk show, I don't know how to call it, like the powwow that Nacho organized between the Mexicans
and FedEx
and the other ones, and FedEx was probably.
FedEx was in there as well. I think that's pretty fucking funny.
Yeah, that's funny. Like, I wish I could watch it, and I could understand Spanish well enough to understand what they were saying, because that probably would have been fun.
Like, that's actually funny shit.
Yeah.
So essentially, FedEx, Moist Milk, and Envies were on a call together with Nacho, like mediating it all, trying to work out what had happened and everything. It honestly seemed rather civilized, and I was kind of like, when I first went on, I seen Nacho was doing this, and I was like, huh. I was like, what's Nacho doing? Because like Nacho's not even like, he's not messaged any of us, like even let us know what he's doing. So like, I had no idea. And it turns out he's like trying to mediate between them. I was like, okay, that's actually quite cool. And it turns out, like, on the call, like, Moist Milk pretty much admits that, yeah, they had no interest, Mexico B that is, in playing Argentina within the time frame. Like, literally says it. And I was like, why have I wasted hours of my life in DMs trying to be the middleman and get this scheduled, and it's just so frustrating.
Frustrating.
It's wasting my time because you're too immature, too childish to be playing in this, essentially.
Yeah.
And the
Yeah,
worst
it's
thing was
unfortunate.
that we gave them a chance.
Mhm.
Like we actually threw them a bone, which we didn't need to do. I certainly had reservations about doing it.
Yeah.
So it would have been great if they did take it up and be like, yeah, you know what? We want to prove everybody else in the community wrong. But
But yeah, no.
couldn't do it. It's a shame. It's a shame for them. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
Yeah.
I
More so
agree.
than
Yeah,
everybody
yeah.
else. It's a shame for them.
Yeah.
That's what I have to say in that.
To be honest, I think there was probably like this mediation by Nacho was probably like the only like fun quote unquote drama. I think the rest of it was pretty sad, or yeah, annoying stuff.
I feel like most of the dramas were a bit just honorable mention level in terms of how much drama they were in the end.
I think it's a good sign for the tournament in general.
I think the biggest drama is JBR somehow having an Australian flag on Nations Cup 2023
Apparently
while
it's
he's
been
playing
fixed
for
now.
the UK.
Well,
It hasn't been fixed yet.
oh,
At least
oh
not
really?
in the team's roster on
Oh,
the main
God.
page.
Oh god.
And Chris is also playing for Australia and Canada at the same time, somehow.
Yes, that has been brought up quite a few times.
But it was
Actually-
fixed the one time. I was looking at it, it's like, okay,
Yeah.
he's showing the Aussie flag, and then suddenly the next week he was back to having the Canadian flag. I'm like, wow.
Isn't Australian Chris also originally
Yeah,
Canadian?
yes.
Like, I
Okay,
think he's
yes.
like French Canadian originally.
So he
that's
messaged me and he actually said to tell anybody what the actual story is if anybody does ask. So he was born in Canada, lived there most of his
Yeah.
life, but living in Australia since 2013, so 10 years ago, and a resident until 2017. So he's actually been there for 10 years. But
Yeah.
for some reason, this is where it gets really confusing. For some reason on Wikipedia it says Chris with a Canada flag, whereas the actual in-game name is Chris T, which is short for
Yeah.
Christian.
Yeah.
So I don't know why it's listed as Chris. But that's not even
Wikipedia
it
things.
makes it so confusing. Like just list him as Chris T and put an Australia flag, or just keep the
I agree
Canada
with
flag,
that.
or just keep the Canada flag and list him as Chris T. But having them the exact same does not help anything.
Yeah, I agree. I think they should call him Chris T, and the capital S as well. And like they can keep the Canadian flag if they want, but it's just like this the way it's written right now. It's very confusing.
Mm-hmm. For sure.
And I also, when I was doing edits once, I was like, what's happening? I'm not gonna even bother. Because like it's above what I know for how Wikipedia works.
Yeah.
And I did I wrote Chris T on always, and yeah, I don't know what is happening there. I might be. No, I don't wanna. But I know he's been around a long time. He used to be a deathmatch specialist. People saying he was people were saying like he was cheating because he used this back in the single queue days. He was using his scroll wheel for production. So like you clicking stable and scroll wheel, you can fill in a lot more actions between each stable.
Interesting.
Yeah, and people were so like I remember there was a bit of like people saying no, it's not fair that you use it, and that's why I actually I learned it from him when they were saying like, yeah, he's using his scroll wheel, and ever since I've done it, like, oh, my armor production has actually gone up. Although I've broken since then my scroll wheels more often.
In a rage.
Yeah, no, it's not the rate. It's just you're using it so much. I need to get a new mouse. My current one is broken.
Okay.
So,
should we move on to map overview and stats?
Yeah.
Unless there is more drama you want to talk about, but
I don't think so. And I guess we're
you
gonna.
don't want to relieve that.
Nah, I guess we kind of touched on the maps already. We got migration, the most
Yeah.
played, 135 games we've had. So migration actually 23 plays, the most popular map so far. Arabia, Arena, then Team Acropolis coming in, and then most of the maps in the middle pretty even. So I'm actually pretty happy with the distribution of maps. In all honesty,
Yeah.
like African Clear and Hideout not being played doesn't bother me because we didn't want to we didn't put them in. That was
Mhm.
that is the player's fault. It's literally the player's fault. They voted for them.
Yeah.
They've not played them. Don't blame us, guys. We didn't try and get them in there. This
Can you
is
blame South Africa for picking it as a whole map?
this is the player's fault.
And I think it has been like there has been like healthy variety. Yeah, like migration Arabia obviously. Well, it's interesting that migration was more played than Arabia actually.
I think your stats were before the yeah,
Before
what
group
was it,
stage?
the tie breaks, right?
Oh, okay.
Because I have Arabia's 24 games played.
Maybe it's like
After I folded
yours
the
includes.
stats on that.
Mine was just without tiebreakers. Yeah.
Yeah,
These
yeah,
these are
but-
just the group stage games. Technically.
technically.
Yeah, it was played in every single series of group stage. So I guess it eventually passed migration by one game.
Yeah, but it's still migration being up there is.
Yeah, I think maybe the reason for that is if you're playing against a team that you think is stronger than you ban Arabia, and then you may be more tempted to let migration go as the neutral map or stuff like that. I don't know.
Yeah. And then for primary ban, so it's the first ban in the map draft. Black Forest to 22. So way more than anybody else. The second one's actually Arabia at 15. When you had ban first, that makes a lot of sense that teams are banning it. Then Nomad, and then Arena, I guess. You know, two other maps that are very, very popular in terms of like team game, community, whatever you want to call it. And then everyone else is kind of down to like 2, 4, 5. Chaos Pits at 7. But everything else has been pretty low. So it's literally mainly Black Forest that people are like, nah, don't want to play it.
Mm-hmm.
There's probably too much of a skill difference there because Black Forest is just so specialized as it currently stands.
Yeah, and I think there's still a lot of people who actually don't enjoy Black Forest. So
true.
True. I think when you either ban a map that you really don't want to play, or a map where you feel like the opponent is gonna beat you. So
yeah,
Arena and BF, I'm not surprised. It's like two maps where a team that also like in the same way that Arabia, a team that is stronger than you in terms of like meta skills, they will likely beat you in Arabia. And so, and if you take the other way around, if you're the stronger team, maybe you ban Arena or Black Forest because that's where a weaker team can make up strategies and upset you maybe. So I think that makes sense.
Mm-hmm. Panda, anything interesting on the south side?
There's only one I was trying to find, but I gave up after a while because a lot of effort to do it. But for Arabia, there's only been once a repeat of a forcive combo, as in the exact the flank pocket flank isn't that exact time. There's only one repeat. Yeah, it was Ethiopians, Magyars, Mayans. They lost both times, as a side note. But I guess it's also with the draft and 4v4. There's so much, like many possibilities, at least that you can do. But I found it interesting. I thought there would be a bit more repeated, at least a couple other combos. But when I was going for the other maps that were played a lot, I couldn't find any exact forcive combos repeated like that.
Mm-hmm.
You see other stuff that happens a lot, like Ethiopians Mayans together on flank, and I mean, but that's expected. And I think the only other one is a bit of a, not necessarily a stand-up, but just shows how strong this still is Chinese on flank still on Arabia. They've won 9 out of 12 times they were played, and even in this like
Oh snap!
lame heavy
That's
on
not
Arabia,
bad.
on Arabia.
Yeah, that's
Yeah,
not
like
Go in shambles.
like even in this lame heavy fast archer heavy build,
Yeah.
it's actually they're holding up really well, but that could be execution, and we might see it drop off later. And the most, I don't know if it's impressive or what, but the best win rate in the whole group stage is Portuguese, where
Yeah,
they've won 26 out of the 30 games that they've been played in.
it
Wow.
doesn't surprise me. They're just like they're so solid in so many maps in this map pool.
Yeah, and the next best is Franks.
There we go. So we
With-
talked
26
about
out
Franks
of 30 is insane.
Yeah, 26 out of 30. Yeah, even Franks, they've won 29 of 38, but they only play one specific role, pocket on
Yeah.
like land maps, right? But you see Portuguese all over. They've been used everywhere, basically.
Nomad,
Even-
hybrid maps, water maps,
Yeah,
land maps,
Land maps,
closed
it's-
maps. They're
Yeah.
literally
So-
good in like everything.
So do we say they are the best of now? Question mark, question mark.
They might well just be. They might well just be. In this map pool, I think you can make an argument for it. It's certainly one of the more flexible civs we have.
And other than that, I don't think there's anything. It was the one that I mentioned at the start of when we're talking about the Aussie Russia set, that the Aussies picked the 2 worst performing pockets on Arabia in their last must-win game.
Ew.
But
Feels bad.
yeah. But I mean, the sample size is small. It's just for fun, right? In
Yeah.
the end. And I'll be I'll be interested to see how it changes from here on. If it will be like, I think potentially Chinese could drop a bit on Arabia
Yeah.
flank win rate, because maybe there could be a chance that like I know Brazil picked them a lot on flank, for example, Brazil A, and they didn't have necessarily the strongest opponents in their group, so they couldn't get away with it. So it will be interesting to see how that develops.
Yeah, it'd be
And-
interesting to have them like side by side, like round of 16 and beyond, and then like compare them to group stage.
Yeah.
For the competitive level should be a little bit more similar.
But I think that's all I have on the Civ stats wise.
Okay, well that's nearly we're literally like 2.5 hours on the
2.5
button.
hours.
So I think that's a pretty good session for tonight, guys.
Yeah.
We've done well. We've done pretty damn well. We're nearly up to 16,000 in prize pool, so we'll see what happens over the weekend if I get anything else. I'd like to go over the 16k mark this weekend, and I'm starting to feel a bit more confident about 20k goal,
Nice.
but we'll see. But anyway, that was fantastic. Thank you so much for your time today. That was an extensive rundown.
Yeah.
And if I'd probably put this on YouTube, and if you are listening here, congratulations making it all the way to the end.
Mm-hmm.
In 2 hours, the first round of 16 set starts.
Yep.
If anyone wants to watch
Argentina
that.
against Argentina. Alright.
I don't think I'm going to be up for that.
I might be. My sleep schedule has been all over the place. Maybe I'll watch a bit. If they don't
It's just
take
gonna
too
be
long.
4 p.m. here, so I'll definitely be up for that.
All right, gentlemen. Thank you very much.
Yeah.
Until next time.
Thank
Thank
you.
you.
See you guys.
Ciao,
See ya.
ciao.